I hit record and I can see you. So here we go. Hi, I'm Anne Marie, member of the Sunfire Stable show team, with another installment of I Signed Up for the Show Team. What's next? Today we are here with another entry in our Meet the Breed series. I'm here with Michaella and her horse, and I'm going to let her introduce both him and the breed.
So this is Alistair. He's a Rocky Mountain gelding. I got him end of November of 2020, so we've had almost going on 4 years now of chaos.
Trial and tribulation, yeah.
So the breed's kind of an oddball breed. It's not terribly well known, but it's starting to get better. It's originating in Kentucky. The horses originally came from the south, they were Spanish horses, and then they were crossed over with English horses from the east. Genetic combination was actually the basis of all of the gaited breeds that are in America currently, so your American saddlebreds, your Tennessee walking horses, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. His was used mainly in the Appalachians by the really poor people, so they had to be a jack of all trades and horse of all seasons because they were used by poor people. As a result, they were hardly fed good stuff, which meant anybody who was not an easy keeper did not meet a good end, and then because stallions were breeding in the local area, it meant only the stronger survived, which is kind of how it whittled down to be a select pool of genetics within it. The Rocky Mountains are a land race, which means that they are a breed that was shaped essentially by the environment versus by human interaction. So if you look at today's horses that are bred for one particular trait or one particular color, things like that, that is called a standardized breed. They're made and kind of adjusted genetically by human interaction, as where his was purely survival of the fittest. So ideas of other land ones would be the Icelandic horse, Newfoundland pony, Shetland pony, and they have to adapt to local conditions such as altitude, terrain, temperature, abundance or scarcity of water, food sources, parasites, and predators. So the beginning of the Rocky Mountain history is kind of rough. There's not really written information on it. It's all kind of, this person said this person said that, then it was kind of recorded here and then adapted by this because of it being a landrace breed. As a result, that was back in the early 1800s.
He wants to reach.
Oh, always got to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
With that too, once World War II started, everything like that, the people who were already poor ended up selling off a lot of their stallions and just surviving on what they could. So the population went dramatically down. There was a lady, let's see here, Ray Swan of Lexington, Kentucky. She stepped up to understand the breed, the history, the local remaining horses, and record and create a registry. That registry has then been very strictly enforced to keep it so that it is as much like the old population as possible.
So not a whole lot of variation at all. Very strict guidelines on what should be. Okay.
Yep. And there's actually a two-factor registration. We have to meet certain criteria look-wise, which is because it's a Rocky originally, they're less based off of look and more off of what they can handle. There's certain characteristics of the body that are required within the Rocky to be registered, and then they also have to have temperament
That goes with that.
So they have all of that, and then you have to do an actual video or in-person exam to be registered.
Wow.
And you have to have a certain amount of DNA linking back to certain foundations.
Sure.
It's kind of up in the air with that because originally there was a bunch of stallions brought in.
And who knows who was who?
Yeah. So when they started the registry, there was a horse that was originally brought in, and they named him the Rocky horse because he was a chocolate color gaited horse. He was stout. He was awesome temperament. He ended up being kind of the local area's favorite, which is why a bunch of mares bred to him.
Yes.
One of his sons was called Old Toby. Old Toby was the first recorded sire, kind of foundation stallion of the Rocky Mountain breed.
Wow.
He's very curious. It's
Very, very curious.
common of the breed.
Yes.
So that stallion was brought in the 1890s, bred to the local mares, and then Old Toby was owned by Sam Tuttle, And the crazy thing is he was a breeding stallion until the age of 34. He died at 37.
Oh my gosh. So he had a lot of longevity,
yes.
and probably a lot of offspring then. Okay.
And part of that is because survival of the fittest.
Right.
You have to be able to survive that area in order to survive.
Speaking of survival, you've survived, and now that you've had him these 4 years, almost 4 years, what have you done with him? What have you found success in?
So it's been kind of an interesting story with him. Our 30 days in, we decided to test what ice in Wisconsin is like. And it doesn't end well. It ends in a very hefty vet bill that he did not have to pay.
Yes. Yes.
And then we found out with that he actually had a bone chip in his knee and he had some arthritis. And then just among saddle fitting and then the overwhelming of coming to a barn that was so big,
Right.
really
Exuberant.
it made his personality rather explosive.
Yeah, yeah.
And it took a long while to work through a lot of groundwork.
Lots.
So much
But
groundwork.
you have worked through it, and so what kind of, you do groundwork with him? Have you tried him in a harness?
Yes,
You
and
have
that was
tried
actually
harness.
a fun thing. The Rockies are known for being extremely easy trained and extremely normally chill tempered.
Right.
So the first time I ever kind of tried to harness him, I put him on a surf single, double wind on the lunge line. He had never had that. Totally chill.
Just
understood it. Was just like,
completely
okay, I don't know exactly what we're doing, but I'm gonna play along with it.
Absolutely.
And
that's part of the breed characteristic, is that he may not know what's going on all the time, nor you, but you guys, you two can work it out. So you've ridden him Western?
Yep, and we're now dealing with some saddle fit issues, so I'm riding him in a dressage saddle, which
In a
is
dressage saddle.
interesting.
You've ridden him bareback.
Yep.
Have you ridden him English?
Well, that
With
was
a dressage saddle.
my biggest one when I originally got a horse was I wanted to ride bareback with a neck ride, so nothing on the head at all.
At all.
And we actually did that this last summer.
You accomplished
So,
that. That's
Yep.
What are your goals now going forward?
Have fun.
He's
my best
You know
friend,
what?
so-
That, Michaela, that encompasses things just really nicely. You know, the goal is to have fun, to enjoy your horse, to grow together, to learn. I mean, you learn so much about his breed and you know, the characteristics and all kinds of good stuff about him. I mean, he's such a sweet boy.
And that's actually part of the characteristics too, is being a Walmart greeter, essentially.
What a great way to explain
There's
it.
people he wants to say hi. If there's something to see, he wants to be there. He wants to
Right.
see what are you doing. So when the farrier's working on him, he's like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah,
Nose in the
Missed
pocket.
a little, just a little there.
And it's very much so like this, and it's kind of a pushy trait that a lot of people will see, so you have to be careful with it.
Right. There's got to be a line drawn,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be drawing the line.
And that's where sometimes they say that Rockies need a more kind of steady hand, but
Right.
for the most part, on the flip side, if I let my 4-year-old walk him, he is a absolute saint, and is just like, okay, I gotta watch the ground, I'm gonna watch everything, and he just melts over her.
Yep.
And he's very much so kid's horse, which is very common in the breed because they were a everything breed. So if
Everything
you wanted to go
breed.
to church, they hitched up and rode. You
Yep.
needed more cattle, they took care of it.
Right, right.
So it was kind of a mix of all that. And then the other big thing that's kind of interesting with them is their genetics are, he's actually got a silver genetic.
Silver.
Yes.
That for color.
Yes.
Okay.
So with it, the silver genetic, just like grays get melanoma, the silver can carry stuff like that. So the breed itself is known for a few higher risk health issues. MCOA, which is an eye disease that you have,
Okay.
that is directly linked to the Rocky Mountain. That is the highest one. It's 100% covered by the chocolate gene.
Wow.
And then there's also, I'm back with the names of it. Essentially, it is weakness and muscle issues that they can get because of how the silver gene affects their genetics.
Right, right.
So-
Mutates and does things that, you know, it wants to go left, but it should be going right, so.
And with that, the most common way to find them is you'll find his chocolate color with a completely like blonde hair.
Right,
It's all flaxen.
yes.
And they are the highest risk for it. So you have to watch them carefully.
Oh, wow.
So when I was looking into buying him, I was looking into health of him,
Right.
what's in the breed. That was one of the things I was watching.
Wow.
And he passed all of that stuff with flying colors, so that was not a risk for him, luckily.
Right,
And then there are a few local breeders that they've watched that extensively.
right.
So there's actually 3 breeders in Wisconsin. There's R Squared Ranch in St. Croix Falls. It's Hope County, about 5 hours north.
Yep.
There's Sentinel Oak Farm in southwest Wisconsin. They don't have an address, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Right.
And then the interesting one is Rock River Rockies, which is owned by Dave and Lynn Ewell. They actually show at the ETS events that we go to. So I've seen his breed just getting around, having fun, and they are awesome to watch. They really show just how versatile they can be, because the Equine Trail Sports event, you have to be.
Absolutely.
And the horses are just, even when they're having a moment, they're, okay, what's going on? How can we get through this? And they're curious.
Right.
So it's kind
Curious
of
versus reactive, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And that's something that the breed is known for, is instead of the turn and burn, like most horses, they'll kind of do the, oh.
Right.
Okay, now I'm curious.
Right.
And with horses, we had a few issues we had to work through before he would get to that, but that is his reaction most times, is he'll try to stop, and then with a normal horse, you want to just walk him by it, pretend it's not there, or make it not a big deal. Him, I have to let him stop, or he will absolutely lose his way.
Sometimes you have to see the ghost before you can move on from it, so.
Yep, so he's very much so, if you ever watch some fun shows, I'll pick up something and I'll go down and go, here it is, so you can smell it.
Right.
And then after that, it'll be perfectly fine. If I don't, he will not.
There'll be an issue, absolutely.
So,
you have had a long, very interesting journey, but the journey is really coming together nicely. To see you two, I remember one fun show and I thought, oh my gosh, Michaella, what are you doing? And you guys, you rocked that show, and you had such confidence and such surety about your relationship with him, and that's part of the big thing. So, anything else you want to add?
Don't be afraid of not really having a goal, of course, because that's been the best thing with him, is I hit my goal of bareback and bridleless, and now it's just, okay, hey, this looks fun, let's try it.
Right.
And it's kind of the, what can we do together? How can we enjoy time together versus always working towards a goal?
Right.
And I've now kind of set that where any horses I have in the future, I want them to be able to handle certain things where I know he can with his arthritis.
Right.
But I don't want to have goals anymore. Right. It's so much better to just enjoy the road.
And what a wonderful, wonderful way to end it, Michaella. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you did a lot of research. And Al, thank you for being such a gentleman. So we're gonna end the video, and we're gonna go on to our next one. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and either Michaella or I can help answer them. So thank you much. We'll see you next time. Okay.